Chairman and Presidents of Racha Mongkol or Rachamankala University of Technology, Professor Dr. Tai Chiang Chan, President of the National Bintung University of Sciences and Technology, Taiwan, distinguished academics, scholars, researchers, students, ladies and gentlemen, members of the press. It gives me such a great pleasure and honor as Chairman of the Council of the Rachamankala University of Technology, Isan, the host of this year's Rachamankala University of Technology International Conference, to warmly welcome all of our distinguished participants from abroad, as well as the Rachamankala University or Racha Mongkol University Council Chairman and members, presidents, administrators, academics, scholars, researchers, staffs and students for the 6th Rachamankala University International Conference in Nacon Ratchasima. I'm even more particularly pleased to be able to deliver this keynote speech because the theme of this year's conference is so deeply close to my heart. One of the important reasons why I happily agreed to take up the chairmanship of the Council of this Rachamankala University of Technology Isan, or the RMUTI, was my true conviction in the immensely increasing responsibilities and the roles of today's universities specialized in technology to help improve the quality of life of the community and to help contribute toward the better future of our world. As the world is seriously threatened by the global warming and the gravest environmental crisis and the worst resources degradation of all time, there's no other time but now where technology, academic institutions must take a genuine and most effective lead to halt today's most serious crisis of mankind and prepare for a better life and a better world for our future generations. Our society is looking up to technology universities and academic institutions through their expertise and researches to come up with all green and environmentally friendly innovations and initiatives to combat our global warming phenomenon. People are looking upon all of us today for a better tomorrow. And it must be our first and foremost priority objective, never to fail them. President Obama of the United States was so right in declaring recently that this generation would be the last to be able to preserve the environment as it is and would be able to pass on a suitable environment to our children and the next generations to come. If we do not do it in our generation, no one else would be. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, then the question is, what are we facing today? In Asia, the climate change poses a real threat to our security, our homes, our resources, our food and water, and peace in the region. Last year, we experienced the Earth's warmest year on record. This year, it is expected to be even hotter. The latest report issued by the International Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC, predicts that without mitigation measures, the global mean surface temperature is likely to increase 3.7 to 4.8 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial levels. For the world to have a fighting chance to survival, the IPCC warns that we cannot let the temperature get above 2 degrees of pre-industrial levels. The world economy must transition to zero carbon by the early half of the century. Many researchers warn that a failure to do so could lead to the extinction of the human race. It may sound improbable, but not impossible. Rising global temperatures will result in the melting of the polar ice caps and glaciers. The most recent report shows the Greenland glacier, the size of Manhattan, New York, in the United States, broken off, drifting and slowly melting. Water that has been frozen on land for hundreds of thousands of years is now pouring into the world's ocean. According to NASA, this will impact sea levels, causing them to rise by at least 1 meter by the end of the century. People in low-lying population centers like Bangkok, Singapore, or in Bangladesh will need to move their homes as sea level rise. Farmlands, fertile river deltas, and low-lying plains, which have been breadbaskets or water supplies for thousands of years, will be overcome by seawater. Extreme weather events, droughts we also experience in Thailand, floods, extreme heat waves and cold snaps, wildfires, storm surge, and severe storms like typhoons and cyclones will become more frequent and intense. Crops will fail. There will be freshwater shortages. Food and resources will become more scarce and, of course, more expensive. This may all sound too scary to be true, but it is true. As we pledge and aspire to combating climate change, which is one of the defining challenges of our time, as developing countries, climate change or global warming, particularly in Asia, unfortunately, is not our only challenge. We also aspire to development. We aspire to prosperity. We aspire to living long and healthy lives. We aspire to economic growth. As these aspirations that I have referred to at odds with combating climate change? Not necessarily. Economic development does not have to come at the expense of the environment, and neither does protection of the environment have to come at the expense of the industrial development. A middle path, a moderate course that can be taken to fulfill both is the green innovation for a better life. We have to focus on enabling innovative, efficient and clean green technologies, upgrading legacy industries like the manufacturing and agricultural sectors, lowering fossil fuel subsidies, and focusing on resource efficiency, and perhaps more importantly, incentivizing low carbon growth opportunities. Thus, technology universities and academic institutions have a two-pronged major task: innovation for development and economic growth, and innovation for a better life and a better world of tomorrow. That is, innovation for sustainable development. This two-pronged task is to be undertaken in tandem to be able to bring about the green innovation for a better life and a better society. Germany is a prime example of a country which has balanced combating climate change with economic growth. Just last year, net generation of renewable energy exceeded that of brown coal for the first time in Germany. But its traditional industries, the auto design and manufacture, aerospace, electronics, and medical technology have not come at the expense of energy efficiency, have not come with that. In fact, for a region suffering from economic malaise, Germany's manufacturing and services sectors remain a shining light of innovation and growth. Thailand, too, has to find its own balance in the nexus between the economic and industrial growth and green innovation and sustainability. Thailand is now classed as an upper middle income country, but growth towards becoming a high income country has slowed down. During the Asian Tiger period in the early 1990s to the Asian financial crisis in 1997, Thailand clocked an average annual GDP growth of nearly 8%. Between the Asian financial crisis and the global financial crisis, that dipped to around 6%. Still quite impressive. Since 2008, as a result partly of the world economic crisis, Thailand's average GDP growth has slowed remarkably, stuck at around 2 to 3%. The threat of Thailand getting caught in the so-called middle income trap is quite real and pressing. Many middle income countries can get stuck in a trap where they cannot compete with low income economies that can offer cheaper labor and production on one hand, and high income economies which have the capabilities of higher value added or high productivity activities on the other. Thailand is now at risk of getting caught in this sandwich. Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, or even Laos can offer agriculture and assembly at a much lower cost than that of Thailand. Singapore, South Korea, and Malaysia can offer higher quality products and more productive services at the other end. If we cannot keep growing, we are at risk of getting stuck in the middle. How can we escape this trap, this middle income trap, this being in sandwich? Only 6 economies in Asia have achieved it so far. Singapore, Hong Kong, and Brunei are classed as high-income economies, but as small trading country or energy hubs, their rise is difficult to replicate on larger scale. The other 3 economies, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, however, have escaped. They don't offer a definitive guideline, but I think they offer some lessons. There are a number of coordinated steps and policies that the governments should put into place in order to promote innovation and avoid middle income trap. Governments in general who want their countries to move out of the middle income trap need to create an environment where they have good quality human capital, that is the skills and education levels of their citizens. Universities need to be pillars of excellence and to strive to provide training education directly related and responding to respective local and national economies, industries, agriculture, and services. But not everyone has the chance to go to university. So beyond primary and secondary school, professional training, vocational education, and lifelong learning courses should be encouraged. Improving the quality of human capital through education and by expanding research opportunities allows local businesses and entrepreneurs to take greater advantage of, first, greater absorption of existing technologies, and then abilities to engage in the homegrown innovation and the design of the new technologies. Firms and industries will benefit. This clearly must be the role of university, such as ours. As firms seek to keep growing, they reinvest back into education, training and the research and development to further improving their potential and competitiveness. This cycle of education, innovation, productivity, and profit is what is needed to escape the middle income trap. However, this cycle could break down if governments are unable to provide the necessary foundations or necessary incentives, or if the government is unwilling to remove policy limitations to upgrading. Essential collective goods such as strong governance and institutions, infrastructure and urban management, quality education and skills development are needed. Unfavorable demographics and world economics can also be inhibiting factors. Nevertheless, the government must ensure that these policies must complement and reinforce each other. If key institutions or policies are missing, then improved productivity, innovation, and escape from the middle income trap will be slowed or even blocked. Companies like Samsung and Hyundai have led innovation in South Korea. HTC and Foxconn in Taiwan. Innovation in Samsung in South Korea was largely private sector led. What was important was that the foundations for higher value added, higher productivity, and innovative conditions were created by their respective governments. Education was provided and information was well managed. But the heart of the rise out of the middle income trap was the rise in productivity driven by innovation. This is where the well-guided role of technology universities is indeed essential. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, creating an increase in productivity does not necessarily mean working longer or working harder. What it means is that it means working smarter. It means fostering the conditions whereby our citizens are undertaking jobs which require more skills. It means creating industries which value upscaling and research and development, creating a workforce made up of people who are educated and dynamic, creating individuals who have the entrepreneurial skills to turn their ideas to a real business opportunities. It means improving human capital across sectors. We don't know what the next big idea will be or where the next industrial boom will come from. That is up to the next generation of innovators and entrepreneurs. But Thai universities, businesses, and government must work to create opportunities to facilitate this next big boom, whatever it is. We have to provide quality education for engineers and scientists. We have to make sure our universities have state-of-the-art facilities to aid upcoming fields of research like nanotechnology, biotechnology, automation, and one of the most important things, Internet of Things. Alternative energies is included. ICT and communication infrastructure will need to be improved. Intellectual property rights and patent protections which correspond to the level of national technological development will need to be strengthened to ensure that inventors and entrepreneurs are rewarded for their new ideas. Industrial estates and special economic zones need to be established, and quality transport infrastructure is required to eliminate bottlenecks. Without this, innovation will be a pipe dream. The question is then, what should innovation look like in Thailand? In terms of manufacturing, Thailand has long been in assembly of car parts, textiles, and hard disks. But assembly is the simplest activity in the production chain, with the least value creation and capture, and fortunately, the greatest environmental impact. We can't turn our backs on manufacturing altogether, but we have to be smarter about how we do it. Thai manufacturers should now be in a position where they are aiming to capture more value, both downstream, such as developing recognizable brand names, trademarks, trade names, and leading marketing campaigns, and also upstream in research and development, original product design and ownership of patents, investment in research and development, leading to innovation and groundbreaking inventions are what we must concentrate on. Thailand is renowned for its famous, or world famous rather, services sector. Tourism alone accounts for about 16% of our GDP. That is well over 1 trillion baht per year. Seeing the value in tourism, our neighbors like Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia are enticing travelers by promising similar experience that Thailand has offered for decades. So how can we capture greater value in our service sector to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve? The answer is by providing innovative services that cannot be easily copied elsewhere. The template for the future of the services and tourism industry is already being set by the medical industry. Thailand has already established a reputation as a regional medical tourism hub. It contributed nearly $4.7 billion to the Thai economy in 2013. Medical tourism, like ecotourism or advanced financial and legal services, utilize our best talent and bring in more income. When we think about Thailand's service and tourism, we have to think beyond bars and beaches and aim to create a more innovative, upscaled and more valuable sector. Groundbreaking ideas in brand new industries will come through the minds of exceptional individuals and dynamic businesses. But Thailand's existing traditional industries, particularly agriculture, are in great need of innovation to stay competitive and viable. Thailand is historically an agricultural society. Even now, as we speak, over 35% of Thai workers are still employed in the agricultural sector. Our farmers remain the backbone of our country. Many more foreign laborers also work in agriculture on seasonal basis. However, compared to services and particularly manufacturing, the agricultural industry is still very unproductive. Despite being one of the world's top producers of rice and rubber, agriculture still only makes up just over 10% of the country's economic input. Despite some advances, for the most part, Thailand is still exporting the same basket of products and using the same unproductive methods as it did a generation ago, such as primary products which are vulnerable to commodities prices and simple products that have not been upgraded. We need innovative new ideas to get us out of the middle income trap. As we are in the middle of the aging society, which is another big problem for Thailand, this tendency is to leave fewer younger workers in the agricultural sector. It will become more difficult for the older farmers to meet expected agricultural demand without improving their farming methods. Agricultural innovation is therefore important for increasing competitiveness and productivity amid the middle income gap or the middle income trap. But it is also a necessity if we want to have enough people who are physically capable of working the land in the future. Agricultural innovation is important to give Thailand a competitive advantage in this area, leading strong, large, and capable domestic agribusiness in the region. This agricultural innovation can include fisheries and value-added production of herbs on commercialized basis. Researchers from technology universities in these areas have proved fruitful and should continue to expand. A strong agricultural industry assures food security and creates jobs. But what is essential is that Thailand is able to add value to its agricultural products and improve the productivity of its agricultural activities and of its domestic workforces. Thus far, innovation in all aspects is the key to get the country out of this middle income trap. Innovation is and shall not be exclusive to any particular university. There should be links between universities themselves, links between universities and industries, exchanges of students, of technicians and of faculty members, both between universities and between universities and the private sector. The university's role to lead innovation in industry, services, and agricultural sectors is to help achieve development and economic growth, and hence escape from the middle income trap. But as I stated earlier, our role and responsibilities are to be two-pronged. Such innovation must also be for the future better life and a better world amidst the environmental degradation and climate change threats. Green technology and green innovation must be implanted into any research and laboratory work conducted to invent any innovation to respond to the needs in the industrial, service, and agricultural sector. So at the same time, our research in our universities would have to lead to sustainable development. The key is not to invent innovation capable of creating faster growth at all costs, but it is to invent the innovation that is responsive and responsible for our children and our future generation. Technology universities today must not merely train the best, the most professional, and the most efficient human resources for the country, but we are to train the best practitioners and professionals who are innovative and responsible enough to preserve the earth from the most threatening environmental disaster of humankind as we are witnessing at the moment. In short, we must train and produce graduates who are practitioners with green and innovative mind. Graduates who train their mind to realize the need to mitigate the world's environmental threats, and graduates who train their skills to always look for the green innovation. Green-minded practitioner graduates must be able to apply technology while always mindful of the environment. Technology universities must also focus on the development and the use of green practical technology and on returning local green technologies to the communities and making green investment. One of the advantages of the Rajmankala or Rajamongkol University of Technology is the fact that we have campuses all around the country, covering the north to the south, the central to the northeast. Green innovation can derive from so many traditional ways, so many traditional expertise and experiences and local knowledge that our predecessor generations have accumulated over a long period of time. At the National Agricultural Fair hosted recently by the Rajamongkol University of Technology Isan in its Surin campus in Surin province, and I would like to add that with record-breaking number of attendance, over 1 million in 7 days. I think our Vice President for Surin is here as well. There, one could learn from traditional knowledge forum, where so many local and traditional wise men and women shared traditional agricultural techniques that are environmental friendly. They are not necessarily obsolete, but with research and adaptation, these techniques and knowledge will be so useful. Green innovation does not necessarily mean new invention always. In agriculture, for instance, green innovation can derive from researching on new technology and traditional techniques to come up with a new agricultural innovation that is modern, more productive, and environmentally friendly at the same time. Our campuses in different parts of the country expose our students to many modern living and, with it, urbanization problems. Students should be encouraged to research in green innovation to solve these problems. Each campus should also become showcases of green innovation, perhaps, that lead to a better and happy life both in and outside our campuses. Take water management, for example. Each region has its own problems of water treatment and management. If they can be reflected within respective campus, where students are encouraged to study, to do research on innovation over water treatment and management, that is indeed one way to encourage green innovation for the happy life. Green innovation can lead to a happy life only when everyone concerned lives, thinks, and practices it in everyday life. As chairman of the University Council of the Racha Mongkol University of Technology and Isan, I have to say that I fully support the Green University policy initiated by President Dr. Wirod Lim Khai Sang. I will assist with assistance from all members of the University Council in any way at all possible for the policy to be implemented successfully. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, in Thailand, as we are sitting here, I think we may be even luckier. While our universities may be aiming at producing green innovative mind graduates, our society is also being guided by His Majesty the King's philosophy of sufficiency economy. The philosophy of sufficiency economy is based on moderation and mindfulness. Moderation, mindfulness, and a wise use of available resources as part of a wider green innovation program are needed if an economy is transitioned out of the middle income trap without leaving behind polluted legacy. There are three major principles involved: moderation, reasonableness, and immunity to protect oneself from possible negative consequences. The three principles must be accorded with knowledge and good morality. One must have the knowledge of how to do things in a moderate and reasonable way, to do it with morally responsible way, which is create community to protect oneself from negative consequences. The three principles in the philosophy, when put into practice by all, will act as a risk management, if you may call it, for the society and the economy. Moderation, reasonableness, and immunity are all safeguards against underspending or overspending, underinvesting or overinvesting, underuse or overuse of natural resources, and a life well conducted to guarantee good health, good life, good environment, and most importantly, a happy heart. In the economic world, sufficiency economy philosophy, therefore, teaches us to be mindful at all times, not to overspend and not to underspend, not to overinvest and not to underinvest, but spend and invest moderately, with reasons, in a way that it will not hurt us in the future. The same logic goes to investment in stocks, in bonds, buying luxury goods, or industrialization without concern on damages on the environment, and so forth. However, middle path or moderation does not mean no progress, closing door to modernization. No. Rather, it means taking the middle path towards striking the ideal balance between innovation and productivity, and not over-exploiting resources, not over-exploiting our environment. When combined, the green innovation and sufficiency economy will work in tandem to get the country or an economy out of the middle income trap and move on to a happy future with our children and the next generations. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, may I conclude today with just one thought. While the green innovation and sufficiency economy are important, our universities, our faculty, our staff, indeed all and every one of us belong to today's generation. This today's generation would either be blamed for not saving this happy and beautiful planet for our children, or be proud of having done all we could and whatever is possible to save it a happy and a beautiful place, for our future generation. The choice rests with all of us, you and me. It is now time, distinguished professors, participants, for me to officiate the opening of this 7th Rajmangala University of Technology National Conference and the 6th Rajmangala University of Technology International Conference. The theme this year is Rajmangala University and Sustainable Researchers. The green innovation for a better life that I have described will depend so much on university's role in focusing on sustainable researchers. Raja Mongkol University of Technology shall not be able to return innovative, practical, and practitioner green-minded graduates to the community, should it lack the body of knowledge which is the result of researchers. Only the research works that are sustainable would benefit both our students and the community they go out to serve. Both the national and international conferences will provide a useful forum for all concerned to exchange, to discuss, to coordinate and cooperate on the way ahead for all 9 Raja Mongkol universities to serve their respective local communities and our country. They will help enhance the university's pivotal role in maintaining sustainable growth based on green innovation. On that note, may I declare both the 7th National Conference and the 6th International Conference open and wish all of you every success in your deliberations in order to make the Raja Mongkol University a truly green university, a truly green technology university for a better life and for a better world. Thank you very much for your kind attention.